Call of Duty Warzone 2.0 is without a major feature in the current version of the game. This missing piece would make the game a must-play and the standout first-person shooter for the foreseeable future. This nowhere to be found part of the game is a ranked mode. There are a lot of reasons why a ranked mode is going to be so important to Warzone 2.0 and why it will help the longevity of the game, and the game may be in trouble if a ranked mode is not introduced. Let's start with the actual gameplay. The gameplay feels a lot slower. All actions take a little longer. Throw equipment, use field upgrades, mantling, reloading, switching guns, all of that stuff takes a little bit longer and slower. So it feels more like a prototypical BR where you're taking more time to do everything, do all of your actions, move about the map, gunfights, as opposed to more of a classic kind of TDM feel like Warzone 1 had, where you're just running around and gunning. It's easier to get people back into the game. Warzone 2.0 is much more focused on tactics, having the high ground, rotating early. The vehicles don't drive as well. There aren't necessarily balloons like there were in Caldera, which were added in a little bit late, but nonetheless, you really need to be strategic with your rotation. And if you don't have the right positioning, come one of those end circles, you're going to be in trouble regardless of how good your squad is or how good your gunning is. A lot of that comes into the tactics that you have with your backpack. If you go up against a squad that has the high ground, 3 precision airstrikes, durable gas masks, it's going to be very difficult to win. And so for this game, with the additional backpacks, the slow movement, the slower gameplay, having that tactical end game position and strategy leads to a lot more successful victories. Also, regaining is much more difficult in this game. When you die in game and go to the gulag, whether you win or lose, a teammate doesn't come back, it is much harder to regain because cash is harder to find. There are less buy stations and people generally don't have as much cash if you go ahead and wipe a team. Because of this, it's harder to get your teammates back, and it's harder then to get back into the game. Now, the reason why this is going to be actually better for a ranked mode is that this allows people to be more focused on strategy and staying alive. In a BR mode, it is all about winning. Now, you add in a ranked mode, and that specifically emphasizes it. Getting kills along the way is obviously important, but it's all about placement. With regainings being hard, sometimes it makes it frustrating for folks that are either casual, they're just kind of hopping on and playing with their friends, just trying to shoot the shit, or folks that are sweating, trying to go for a ton of kills. Both parties dislike the harder regain because it makes it a little bit more difficult to get kills and a little bit more difficult to get back in. Now, if there was a ranked mode, that difficult regain would be okay because it's much more focused on strategy. You really need to be staying alive, picking your gunfights, rotating early, playing endgame, and that would make regains okay. The other piece to this is what makes Warzone 2 so fun are the end games. Winning is actually really exciting. Part of that's because it's a new game, so you're getting your first win on the game, you're getting your first 10, 20, 50 wins, whatever it may be. But also the end games feel more like a BR. Now, I compare that to maybe a Fortnite or an Apex as opposed to Warzone 1. In Warzone 1, the endgames weren't necessarily that sweaty outside of customs, of course, and that's because it's pubs. People are just running around slaying. In Warzone 2.0, because of the backpack system, because of the rotations and the slower feel to the game without the balloons, end games are a little bit more sweaty, have a little bit more fun potential. If you and your squad gets in, you have a decked out backpack, you're rotating around, you're fighting a couple other squads, getting a win can be very satisfying. And because of that, that ties well to a ranked mode. A ranked mode would go over very smoothly because the game already exemplifies, recommends, wants you to go ahead and play that end game and get the win. And that would be really rewarded well to folks playing in a rank system, as placement is very important. Call of Duty multiplayer has had plenty of rank systems over the years, so it's definitely something within their arsenal. It's not as if Call of Duty has never launched or created a ranked mode. Some have been more successful compared to others over the years, but regardless, Call of Duty knows what a ranked mode is like, so it's definitely within their arsenal. It's definitely doable. The other reason why ranked modes work so well is that let's think back to Fortnite. Historically, I have been a Call of Duty gamer, but I switched over to Fortnite because it was that first real BR that became popular. Obviously, there were some BRs before that, but Fortnite really became mainstream, and so I jumped on and started playing it. And it was fun for a while just because it was a new game, something new to play, something different feel. What really changed the game and really progressed Fortnite to keep going was they had their arena mode, they had these cash tournaments. So if someone got bored of just simply grinding pubs, if you will, which in Fortnite you could get a lot of kills, but not as if it was like what Warzone 1 was, where you can get just a ton of kills. Fortnite would take a little longer. So these placement style BR game modes actually worked really well for Fortnite because it was all about strategy, rotation, staying alive, having all of your heals, being ready for endgame. After that, I switched over to Apex, played some Apex, then Warzone 1 came out, played some Warzone, switched back to Apex, and I really grinded Apex ranked before Modern Warfare 2 came out. Where Apex works so well and why the rank system works so well in Apex is more similar to Warzone 2, and Warzone 2 is more similar to Apex than I would say Warzone 1. Obviously, Warzone 1 and Warzone 2 have those similarities because it's Call of Duty at the end of the day, but the actual gameplay and feel, it feels very similar to Apex in that it's more of a typical BR where you're not going to run around and get a million kills. You definitely can if you're a really good player, and a lot of people have already shown there's been 30, 40 plus games for sure, but it's less common. And that's why Apex rank system works so well, is that it's all about teamwork, strategy, playing the end game, getting the placement. And there was nothing more fun than a very sweaty end game in Apex where you have a ton of teams all fighting for positioning. There's bombs going off, shooting left and right. That was a ton of fun and super rewarding to get a win. Now that works well for all the reasons that I mentioned in Warzone 2, and I will do another video where I actually more formally review Warzone 2 as a whole, as opposed to just why they need a ranked mode. But the comparison to Apex really comes to my mind frequently, as if you get a ranked mode in here where endgaming and that placement and that just fighting for something important really becomes more rewarding and will get people playing for longer. Another important aspect that would come from adding a ranked mode is that it would help players across all skill gaps. Again, we saw this in Apex, but people just think, oh, that's going to be for the sweaty players to go out and just crap on everyone and move up the ranks. Well, no, if you're a poor player, whether you're just not very good at the game or you don't have the time, whatever the reason may be, you're not someone that grinds on, you're an hour or two a day, the casual lobby that you get put in might actually be too sweaty for you. Now, that casual player that's barely playing, if they go ahead and log in and they play in the lowest level of ranked mode, they're going to get an easier lobby. They're going to get to improve. They're going to get to learn the game a little bit better. And so it benefits players of all level because you're going to be in the level of your rank. And that also helps in terms of improvement. People feel a little bit more passion. They can see themselves improve one season or 1 year over another, whatever it may be, however they decide to implement the actual ranked mode. Basically, you can say, hey, okay, I'm winning, I'm doing well, I'm improving, I'm moving up the ranks, and then you eventually get to a rank that you're kind of a good fit for, and then maybe you go back to pubs and practice more at that point. A ranked mode would also improve the longevity of the game. Warzone 2 is fun right now because it's new, it's fresh, but how long will it take before that freshness wears off? Eventually that day will come and we will need a ranked mode or something else to keep us playing the game. Let me know your guys' thoughts on a potential ranked mode below. Curious if you guys have any ideas and if you think this would be something that would be beneficial to Warzone 2. Cheers.